Hello and welcome. This is the 2015-2016 Section 32P Grants Budget Guidance presentation, and I'm Rachel Melma from the Office of Great Start, and we are excited to enter a new year of the Section 32P grants with all of our ISD partners and of course the the Early Childhood Investment Corporation, which will be providing assistance as well to the Great Start Collaboratives and parent coalitions again this year. This presentation is to assist you as you prepare for your fiscal year 16 to create a budget and to also navigate MEGS Plus in the creation of that budget and uploading any application pieces. Our topic areas for today, we're going to go over any criteria changes that the State Board of Education has approved, whether they were additions or changes that were made in the statute for this year's law. We're also going to go over the guidance documents and look at MEGS Plus a little bit as well. So the State Board criteria for the Section 32P grants for the collaboratives and coalitions, not a lot has changed since the last year and even the year before that. You must have a Great Start Collaborative Director that is exclusively 3/4 time, so this is a 0.75 FTE. You will notice the word exclusively, that is new this year in the criteria, and we're going to talk about that a little bit more in a minute. We also must have staffing for the Great Start Parent Coalition at least half-time, so 0.5 FTE. You must have supports for parent participation on your collaborative and also barrier reduction for parents to participate in the parent coalition and other work of the collaborative subcommittees and any other work that your GSC director and parent coalition have asked for parent leadership on. There must be funds for the collaborative and coalition for infrastructure and effective systems building. And then also there is the annual report on the children and families served for the legislature, which is in the statute again this year, and that report is due to the legislature in February. Again, this year there are funds to support children and families with education, so the early childhood programming piece for birth to age 8. This has to have a tie intentionally to the Great Start strategic plan. Again, this year we're asking that you move from promising practices to evidence-based models, evidence-based and research-based models, and you must implement those with fidelity. So again, this year we're looking to move towards those, and the Great Start Collaborative Director and whoever is overseeing those funds can do that a little bit, can oversee that a little bit more. It is important to know again this year that you are allowed no more than 10% of your state aid funds for administrative costs, and you cannot go over your allowable indirect rate if you're one of the counties that receives the federal source CCDF funding. So you can use your indirect, or you can, if you are receiving the federal funds, or only up to 10% of your state aid funds for administrative costs, and what is allowed in that is outlined in our budget help document again this year, and I'm always available, and myself and Kathy Piaczak, also here at the Department of Education, are here to help you and assist you with those as well. So let's take a look at some of our guidance documents that we have for you and the collaborative directors and parent liaisons and Great Start Collaborative members to look over and to help guide you as you create your plans and your budgets. So first we have the fiscal year 16 allocation list. You will notice that the left column is the ISD or consortium name. So this is the ISD, or if there's a group of ISDs who have come together for a collaborative, that's what's in that first column. The second column to the left says fiscal year 16 state aid allocation. That is a portion of the overall $10.9 million that's being distributed to the 54 fiduciary ISDs. Next, we have the CCDF allocation. This is your federal source. This year, we will have about 16 ISDs who will receive federal funds, and that is a portion of their overall allocation. And then on the far right, you will see the full allocation. So as you can see with Allegan County, they get a portion of state aid and they get a portion of CCDF. that makes up their whole allocation. If you just receive state aid, then those two columns will match up, as you can see with Alpena, Montmorency, Alcona, which is right below Allegan. They only have the one column. So as always, we have our important information document. This goes over a variety of different things. It's posted on our website and in MEGS Plus, and is available to you. If you would like me to email it to you, just let me know. This goes over the purpose of the collaboratives and the coalitions, and the goals, the statute, the State Board of Education criteria. It goes over the operations portion of the collaboratives and coalitions. Here again, you'll notice that the Great Start Collaborative Director is a full-time position. It must be at least 3/4 time, exclusively designated to the direction of the Great Start Collaborative, and shared by no more than 2 people, and 1 person has to be a primary contact. So the role of the director, it is required, again, like I said, 3/4 time, exclusively to the direction of the collaborative to ensure that the strategic plan is fully implemented and executed. So this is because we've heard some concerns about that the Great Start Collaborative work really needs to be focused work, and that needs to be the focus of just that person or the 2 people that are serving as the Great Start Collaborative Director. If your staff is not in compliance with a primary person 3/4 time that is exclusively for the collaborative, then you will need to upload in your application in MEGS Plus as an attachment your timeline of how you are going to become in compliance with that, and also any actions that you will need to take to become in compliance. So if you need any further assistance on that, please let me know, but just a document that outlines what your structure is, how you're not in compliance with that 3/4 time exclusive, so that 0.75 needs to be exclusive to just the collaborative. If you're not in compliance with that, how you plan to become in compliance within the next year. And again, you'll upload that in the attachments page of your MEGS Plus with your fiscal year 16 application, and I'll show you where that page is in just a little bit. And again, the parent coalition, this has not changed, at least half time, preferably by a parent who is parenting a child birth through age 12. You can have multiple parent liaisons, but a primary parent liaison must be identified, and the system that you have if you have multiple parent liaisons must really work to the best that you can, and it must be effective. So once you have your base costs, again this year there will be the base costs of for the collaboratives and coalitions, or the collaboratives in your early childhood programming, and we'll get to that in the next slide. But once those base costs have been budgeted, the collaborative, the coalition, and the ISD must collaboratively discern what is the best use of the Section 32P grant funds. Is that more investment in infrastructure and the strategic plan and getting some of those systems pieces up and running, or going farther in depth with those, or is it a greater investment in early childhood programming? In order to make those types of decisions collaboratively, you need to look at your needs assessment and your gap analysis that you've done during strategic planning, or those of you who are entering strategic planning this year, you can use your old information or use your new information. So use the gaps and the needs in your community that are in your strategic plan. You also need to show how it supports the work of the strategic plan and the work plan, and of course follow the grant guidelines. So again, this year the funds for the Great Start Collaborative, there's a minimum $115,000 base. Again, like we talked about in the previous slide, it can be more. You just have to show how that, why you chose to invest more in your collaborative. It's supposed to be for strategic plan-driven systems work and attending to the outcomes and the goals that you've outlined in your fiscal year 16 work plan. The funds for early childhood programming, there's the $25,000 base, And it, of course, can be more. Once you've met the minimum of the early childhood programming and the collaborative, then if it's strategic plan driven and it relates to the Office of Great Start's early childhood outcomes and it supports and serves family and children birth through age 8, you can put more money towards early childhood programming. So the budget is prepared in MEGS Plus, and it is due September 15th. And this is the same as it has been in years past. The application will be at your work plan application is to be completed and uploaded as an attachment. You will not be able to submit your budget that you create in MEGS Plus without an attachment. So you need to work with your Great Start Collaborative director on are they going to fill it out in an Excel form or are they going to enter it in the Great Start Network, which is their intranet site, and PDF it and then provide it to the business office to upload. Either way, the work plan needs to be uploaded in either that Excel format or the PDF as an attachment. You will also need to upload the strategic plan with that, and then again, if you're not in compliance with the exclusive director criteria, then you'll need to upload that timeline as well. The Section 32P grants, the state aid portion is distributed through the state aid process, and those ISDs receiving CCDF funding, you will also complete a separate budget in MEGS Plus and have access to those funds through CMS. And you will also, like I said, you'll do that in MEGS Plus, and there will be, it's a very similar process. There will, of course, be the interim and final expenditure reports required in MEGS and also for CMS, for those receiving the CCDF federal funds, you will have to do an interim expenditure report for that portion as well. So the CMS funds for those who are receiving CCDF should be drawn down no later than September 30th of 2016, or drawn down by September 30th, excuse me. And that's for any cash in hand receipts that you have. So for those receipts that you do not have in hand by September 30th, you have until November 29 to zero out your balance of CCDF funds in CMS no later than November 29th of 2016. The funding year and what you should be budgeting for in MEGS Plus is for a start date of October 1, 2015 and an end date of September 30th, 2016. Carryover funds for state aid, if you carry over any of the fiscal year 15 funds, you have until June 30, 2017. And also for those counties who are receiving CCDF, please note that you cannot carry over those funds, so you need to budget those carefully and so that you can use them all up before the September 30th deadline. Again, like I mentioned, there's a 10% admin cap on the 32P funds, and you're allowed up to your allowable indirect percentage on your federal CCDF funds. There may be on-site monitoring that's required. The application is reviewed and approved here at the Office of Great Start in the Michigan Department of Education. And there's, we also included the state board approved criteria and the statute information is at the end of the important information document. The certifications and assurances are available to you on the MDE website and also on MEGS Plus. When you submit an application in MEGS Plus, you certify as the ISD that you understand and you will abide by the certifications and assurances. There are a list of them there, but there's also specific program assurances and specific provisions. The two that you need to be careful or look at closely as the home visiting reporting. So any GSC that is using their early childhood programming funds for home visiting will need to follow the PA 291 reporting. And then new this year, as I've mentioned a couple times, the timelines and actions if you're out of compliance with the Great Start Collaborative Director criteria that's new this year. So we have our budget help document. Again, this year it's posted as with everything on the website and within MEGS Plus. It's one comprehensive document again this year. You will see if you're a county receiving CCDF, if there's a change or something that's different from the state aid funds, it will be in one of those block. You'll see in the middle of the screen a sample, so it'll say CCDF only or state aid only, and those are exceptions or differences that we have highlighted. We have definitions of objects and function codes and applicable examples. And for the ISDs receiving CCDF funds, there's also a list of allowable activities and opportunities. If you use Excel to work on your budget before you enter it in MEGS Plus, do not use rounding. At times that can create errors in your amounts and it makes it look in MEGS Plus like you have spent under or over your budget. And again, this year, just like as in last year, do not enter any anticipated carryover from your fiscal year 15 state aid funds into your fiscal year 16 application. Any amounts that are pulled in automatically from MEGS need to be zeroed out. And then after your fiscal year 15 final expenditure report and carryover budget have been reviewed and accepted, then you will create a budget amendment and that will pull in your automatically those approved carryover funds. So again, when you're creating your budget, you'll need to zero out any of the carryover items that are pulled in. So let's take a quick look at MEGS Plus. There is training and help that is available to you. This is a snapshot of my screen page from MEGS Plus, and you'll see where it says training materials, and you will also see where it says show help. These are, there's detailed examples in there, and they will also help you with different steps throughout the way. And when you click on that training materials, you will see that there are several training modules that are available for you. Please feel free to go in and look at these. If you don't have access or you need them for someone who doesn't have access to MEGS or is learning MEGS, please let me know. I do have them available and can email them to you at any point. You will notice the last two trainings. One is a PowerPoint presentation and the other one is a Word document about reviewer comments. So it's new this year that the notes section is gone from MEGS Plus and it's been replaced with review comments. So you're going to want to look at those trainings and become familiar with review comments because that's where I'll be putting some of my comments and questions that I may have about the budget before our review calls. Here's a sample of what the application page looks like. So there you'll notice this says fiscal year 14, but it would say fiscal year 16 in the application. Make sure you're always working in the correct year. That can cause some struggles sometimes if you're not in the correct year when you're trying to work in MEGS Plus. You'll notice here's where the certifications and assurances are and the budget help. And here's the attachment section. And here's examine related items. So if you have CCDF funding, that's where you will go to create your federal source budget. You'll click on examine related items. Here's what the attachment page looks like. You'll notice that you can browse and upload the attachments to your application. And remember that you'll need to you'll need to follow the instructions that are right here on the top and then upload your documents. You'll need to make sure that you have your application either in an Excel form or a PDF form, and then your most recently approved strategic plan will also be uploaded as a PDF, and then if you have a timeline for being out of compliance with the Great Start Collaborative Director role, you'll also attach that here. So here's the examine related items page, and you will see that's where we clicked. And here's the federal source, so you'll know you'll be going to the right thing. And you just click on this link and that will take you to the section to initiate that application and work in that budget. This is a view edit screen of the federal source. Again, you'll see that you're in the federal source when you read the application, and make sure that you're in the right year. And here again is where the budget help document is located. It's located in both the federal source and the state aid side. So here's another shot of what a sample MEGS Plus application menu looks like. This is the budget summary page. This is where it has the function codes along the left side, the object codes are along the top, and it has the groupings. So we don't use the 130s in the 32P grants. We do use, say, the 210s and 220s. So you'll see where those are located. And the budget totals will automatically change as you add items into the grant. If you'll notice on the bottom, there's contact information. You must complete the contact information. Please make sure that these are the most up-to-date people that need to be contacted in regards to the 32P grants, so that if there's questions about the budget, we can contact the right people. Here is how you add a budget item. So this is the page that you would go to. You select the appropriate function code, provide a description, and then enter the amounts in the box or boxes of the appropriate object code. There's only one entry unless it's personnel, so you can do multiple home visitors as long as you provide the detail that's needed and outlined in the budget help document that we need to be able to review that appropriately. And then after you complete the entries, you click the Save Budget item, which is up on the top of the page there. It's the very first budget in that gray box right there. And the budget detail page is an in-depth look at all of your budget items as you enter them in and all the associated costs. And then if you need to edit a budget item, there's an edit budget item box. And you can also delete the budget items as well. You just have to click that button and then you'll see the highlighted sections below. You can change the status. Here's the available statuses that are available. And there's also a help document that will be sent out as well that explains this a little bit more and has some different screenshots available as well. And then you submit it, make sure there is no global errors, and you'll submit that. And only a level 5 can submit that. And then you'll make sure that you're in agreement, and it will say application submitted. So to finish out fiscal year 15, again, like I mentioned earlier, if you have CCDF funds, you need to draw down the remaining funds for those cash in hand by September 30th. And then you have until November 29 to zero out that balance. And then on November 30th is when the end of the year report is due, final expenditure report and carryover budgets are due in MEGS Plus. And if you've got any questions, you can contact myself, Renee DeMars Johnson, or Kathy Piaczak here at the Department of Education. And if you have questions regarding the Great Start Network site, you can contact ECIC and their Great Start Technical Assistance line. Thank you very much for watching this presentation. And if you have any questions, please let us know. Thank you.